This Sifted product demo is a big one for us. This is something we've been working on for quite some time, and something that I am extremely proud of. Our product team has done an excellent job at putting this together. Today, we're going to be focused on really diving into the details of your parcel invoice data. And this is going to be found in your package level detail, or what we call PLD, and really the export center that allows you to be able to filter the right information that you're looking for and export it. And there's a variety of reasons why clients are doing that on a regular basis. But this, in my view, is one of the most important things that Sifted does. And it really encapsulates what our name is. Sifted is really built to help sift through that data, and there is tons of it, for you to be able to find that right piece of information that you're looking for. And that PLD export center that I'm going to show you is kind of the really the crown jewel of that. So if you have any questions, drop it in that Q&A, but let's go ahead and get started. We're seeing some really interesting things happen just from an industry update standpoint. Both UPS and FedEx have announced their general rate increase. No surprise, they mirrored each other, even though they're totally two separate companies with two different P&Ls. They both came magically at the 6.9% number, matching FedEx. UPS just announced theirs. This is an average. This is not what 6.9% is not going to be your general rate increase if you're a FedEx or UPS customer. Being able to identify and really get into the details that we're going to do today is a big part of identifying what is the general rate increase for you going into next year. I've talked to plenty of customers. I just talked to a customer last week that is facing a 13.5% rate increase from the simple matter of just shipping this year versus next year. Pretty crazy. On top of that, we've seen some pretty phenomenal Black Friday online sales. They've topped a brand new record, which means there's a substantial amount of volume still going through the system right now with FedEx or UPS. So really interesting things happening right now. FedEx has suspended their money back guarantee, which is not uncommon. UPS has not chosen to do that, oddly enough, on express shipments going into Q4. So again, some really interesting things. Before we dive into the PLD and Export Center, which everybody on the call is really here to see, does anybody have any questions about what they're seeing, or anything about what's happening with FedEx or UPS or Amazon right now before we kind of jump into it? I always like to give everybody a chance to ask any questions as far as what they're seeing, as what we see in the industry is a lot larger with a lot more customers. So we've got a better viewpoint. I'll pause for a sec and look at the Q&A, and you can drop any questions you have in there. Okay, I'll keep my eye on that. If you guys have anything that pops up in regards to industry updates or news or events, let me know. We have a mixture of people on the call. Some are Sifted clients, some are new to Sifted and trying to understand what we do and our value. So what we really focus on is we are a data science company that focuses really on parcel data and looking at the historical data to identify ways of improvement. And those improvements come in really three different categories. You've got speed and efficiency. So getting shipments to your customers faster for less money. We're looking at cost mitigation. So ways that you can improve, not just on your contracts, but on decisions that you're making that are costing you money. It's a big one that a lot of businesses miss. And then a final one, which is really best in class pricing and making sure that your contracts with FedEx and UPS are where they need to be. Carriers are constantly changing it. So having software that really stays on top of it to make sure that you are being as efficient as possible, I think is key to what Sifted does and what best in class shippers are doing in the industry. What we're going to be focusing on today falls under our insights and alerts category, which is our export center and package level detail. We also do decision support, which is really modeling. So we do network optimization, package modeling, GRI modeling, carrier management, which really gets into really cool software on proposal simulation, rate compliance, contract monitoring, and getting extra help on your agreement, contract, or negotiation through logistics engineering help. And we also have a variety of business automation tools that are built into it. But this is really a holistic view of what Sifted does from the software perspective. But let's dive into the PLD and Export Center. The PLD and Export Center is really found within our software here, and logging in and getting data. So some of you on the call already have access to Sifted and already have your data loaded in. And when I mean data, I'm talking about your historical invoice data from FedEx or from UPS. If you are new to Sifted, you might be asking yourself, how do I get my carrier invoice data into your system? And how difficult is that? We make it really easy. We call it 30 seconds easy. We send you a secure link. You fill out your company name, email address, and you simply log in to either your UPS or FedEx online credentials here. So UPS's Billing Center or FedEx's Billing Online or FBO. You can add multiple credentials, but once you hit submit, the system will automatically pull the data behind the scenes and load it into our system. Our system does a variety of things, as I've talked about, but it will do, I think, one of the most important things, and that is score it through our Sifted score. Looks like we have a question. I'll go over to it. Can Sifted handle and display data for multiple accounts? Scott, absolutely. So either in the online credentials here, if you've got multiple online credentials you want to add, so if you have multiple business units or multiple entities, you can add those to it in one fell swoop. Or when you pull in your data, you can see your data in a variety of ways by account number. So if it's all tied to, one main login, but you have 200 account numbers, you can splice the data out how you want it. And you can also get scoring based upon carriers here. So, but yes, absolutely, it displays it for multiple data points, multiple accounts, and then you can, slice into that exact account that you're looking for some more information on. So a holistic view or kind of a micro view. Good question. Okay, jumping in, there's a lot that the system can do, and we could spend all day kind of going through what our modeling capabilities are and whatnot. But diving into the package level detail, I think is going to be critical for understanding this new update from Sifted. We have another question from Nicholas. Is this only available for UPS and FedEx or also for other carriers? Great question. It's available for other carriers as well. We have integrations with stamps.com, Indicia, so you can bring in USPS data. You can see that down below here. OnTrack, LSO, and some regional carriers that we have there too. We're constantly building new integrations, but we've got pretty much the primary ones covered. DHL, yes. If it's DHL eCom, no. So, but DHL Express services and standard services for international services, 100%, yeah. Okay, diving into the package level detail. I think this is a really common question that we get asked all the time is, look, I've got a wide variety of data and the carrier invoice data is massive. So if you look at it on like an Excel spreadsheet, it's up to, up to 70 columns, can be up to 80 if you're looking at it from charge level detail, but up to 70 columns left to right. And one single shipment can be 7 rows deep. So 70 columns, 7 rows deep. It's an immense amount of data. And we have a lot of customers that want to have access to that PLD information, package level detail information, so that they can export it and merge it with some other exports that they might have from maybe their ERP system, their WMS system, their point of of shipment system or point of sale system, or just for general accounting purposes. And having an easy way to tell the software what you want to export, how you want to export it, so that you can get to that level of granularity quickly, is what the package level detail export center is all about. So Scott, we are not integrated with Project 44, but you can send me an email after we've done we've done some work, depending upon what you're looking to get from Project 44. Coming into this viewpoint right here, those 60, 70 columns on a package summary, or if I want to look at it from 80 columns on charge level detail, I can do that here. And what I'm looking for is easy access to go through and allow me to be able to filter out and only display the information I want to display. Again, think of that name, Sifted. That's a great idea of what really this update is. So I can go through and select all columns, or I can hand select specific columns that I want to be able to pull information on. So let's say I want carrier name, tracking number, invoice number. I want ship date, service type, and zone. You can see I've got access to dim, length, width, height, divisor, residential status, all the way down to shipper information, receiver information, and really importantly here, reference fields. Reference fields 1 and 2, package reference 1 and 2. We've got some geocoding as well in here, but it really allows you to go through and slice the data any way that you want and apply those filters automatically. Like, boom, right there, I've now whittled it down. And I'm only looking at that information that I want to see from a column standpoint. I have in here a mixture of USPS and UPS data. And what this allows me to do, once I've selected my columns, first of all, I can click and drag my columns and move them over like I would in an Excel spreadsheet. This allows you to do that Excel work out of Excel in a transportation tool. And then it allows me to then filter it down. Check out how many individual filters I've got now that I've whittled down my columns. So I can filter down to particular carriers. So let's just pull up UPS. I can pull up a particular account number within UPS or multiple account numbers. I can pull up whether it's domestic, international, import, export. So let's select domestic. I can pull up a date range, anything that I want based upon here. I can also scroll down and look at billed weight or entered weight. I think it's really critical for shippers to understand how many shipments they're being dimmed out and which shipments are causing that. You're not going to really find that in fine detail and package level detail, really anywhere else. But it allows me to be able to come through, select what filters I want to select, and then I can hit apply. One thing that's really critical is we have a lot of customers that will use these filters on a regular basis. And this allows for you to be able to deselect filters you don't want to see or you don't utilize on a consistent basis. And then it drops it down here. So it's really making it clean and easy for you to go through and apply the same filters you would normally apply. But in this case, let's go and reselect service type. And I'm going to select all ground shipments in this data set. Okay. I can then go down here and hit apply. The system will take a few seconds to go through and really apply the filters that I've just created on that left side to this custom report that I've built in just a matter of a couple of seconds. Now that I've got this information, it's already done, I can close out my filters. I can save this report based upon here, and I can just say, Caleb, demo test, save and continue. It's now done and completed and permanently saved in there. So I can go through and see that saved report at any point in time. The system will then allow me to go through and export this. You can see I've got page 1 of 711. This is very critical. The system will allow you to export up to 1 million rows of data. So, I think that that's pretty incredible, given the fact that a lot of limitations out there in the industry are more focused around, hey, I need this custom report. And your either audit provider or another provider will say, let me run that for you and I'll get it back to you in next day or 48 hours. This allows you to have it really at your fingertips so that you, your accounting department, your operations team, you can all pull that information seamlessly, very quickly, and most importantly, out of Excel. We want to limit the amount of Excel work that you need to do. I talk to a lot of shippers that spend hours in Excel just to get to this level of detail. So I'm going to go ahead and hit export. It'll pop up and tell me it's processing. The cool thing about the export center is I can continue to work on anything else in the system and jump into the dashboards, jump into various areas and components to the software while it's exporting in the background. It allows me to be able to not be stuck here. It's not going to get timed out, and it doesn't limit me to utilizing other areas. Once the export's completed, I get a nice little notification up here on the upper right. I can go to my export center, see that it is ready to go, and I can just hit the download button. It automatically downloads it into the file format that I have requested based upon the columns and the filters I've already put on it. And boom, I'm ready to go. I'm going to pause here and look for Q&A. What other questions do you all have that is in relation to Sifted, industry news, or PLD and Export Center that I've gone through here? I'll pause and give everybody just a moment to type in some questions. Scott asked, do you support invoice audits? So if I'm understanding correctly, do we audit the invoice? Is that correct, Scott? Is that what you mean by that? So the Sifted will go through and track every single shipment done by the carriers that we have integrations on. It will automatically identify and file for refunds where applicable on GSRs. It will pre-audit your invoice all the way through. So you said, yes, can you take our invoices and review for correctness or refunds that are needed? Yes, we do that on service failures. Invoice audit is really kind of found within, am I getting billed correctly for my contract? Am I getting my discounts applied correctly? All of that is a part of our software, and yeah, we absolutely do that. So I think it's really important for individuals to know that this is a holistic approach to it that is not just invoice, but you're looking at your contract, you're looking at guaranteed service refunds that are available, and that are automatically being applied where needs be, or notifying you when something's off. Okay, Nicholas says, will Sifted be available in the EU? If not, what is the main reason? Sifted is predominantly focused on the US market. Integrations include coming up as Pure later into Canada. We do have an Amazon product that does a lot of this same level of detail if you're selling on Amazon, and that is for Mexico. It's basically North America, so Mexico, United States, and Canada. And we're getting the Amazon product into the EU more than likely by Q2 of next year. Do you need actual agreements, or are the actual account agreements needed? So Scott, on the kind of rate audit and portion there. So if I pull up, your contract monitoring, which is part of this auditing process that's there, you can upload your contracts in here for it to see, how it's tracking over time. So here's your agreements with, if you're split or bifurcated between FedEx and UPS. Here's the performance and your spend based upon tiers, because you have tier structures within FedEx and UPS. And having it based on a per week rolling average basis over time. It also shows you your really your discounts off of particular areas in your agreement, and when those are set to expire. They expire at varying times, and if you're dual source between multiple carriers, that adds some more complexity that's there. The contract expiration dates, I think, are extremely important to understand, and most people want a system that's smart enough to notify them that, hey, you're going to fall off of tier if you don't correct this or don't fix that. So if you ship to Asia or Asia to Europe, would those shipments be included? Scott, yes, if it is included in on your account information that we've loaded in. So what we don't do, and I think this is important for people to hear, is if currency conversion needs to take place and language translation needs to take place in your data, we typically don't and won't touch that. We want to make sure the data is as clean as possible. So if your account information with FedEx or UPS is negotiated and based here in the United States, and the data comes through in USD and in English, it can go into the system just fine. How much are we saving clients, average clients? It's over 20%. That was another question that we got in here. So there's a lot of interesting things that you can do with this, but it really comes down to cost savings in two key categories. The first is going to be really externally, like with your partner carriers. How can I reduce costs with my partner carriers, FedEx or UPS? What can I do there, either in my contract or my accessorial fees, or in their performance? How well are they delivering on time? And the second category is really, how can you save money operationally that's taking place in the four corners of your business? That really falls under, am I using the right carriers? Do I need to add a new carrier? Do I need to look at regional carriers? Distribution, am I shipping from the right locations to reduce my average zone? Is there a new location I should be shipping from? And if so, where would I put that new location? All the way to operational, am I shipping in the right box sizes, or am I being dimmed out on a regular basis? There is a whole slew of modeling that goes to our software that I think is extremely critical, that allows for a shipper to say, what can I do to reduce my cost and save money? So I think that there's some really interesting things that can be done here, but we're just kind of scratching the surface. If you would like to see a more detailed version of the software and a full walkthrough of our modeling capabilities, let's say box size modeling, you want to go through and say, hey, look, I want to model that this box size at 64 by 34 by 4 can be shipped out. I know I can get that SKU into a 50 by 20 inch box. What does that do for me? All of this modeling techniques and access to PLD information at your fingertips is really what Sifted's all about. And I would encourage you to reach out to us. I'm going to drop a link in the chat window for you to schedule a call with one of our account executives that can walk you through it in more detail. And we even do a free proof of concept where we can load in your data, see your data in the system before engaging on any type of a formal agreement with us. So yeah, there's a lot of interesting and cool things. The last comment that I got here is, can you filter data by build weight and origin zip code, yeah, 100%. I mean, that's part of either in the filter category, or you can do that in the columns. But in that filter category, you can filter it by build weight. So it's just down here. And you can do it between a range. And you can look at your build weight versus your entered weight. And the reason why that's important is if you enter, hey, this shipment was 50 pounds, and UPS comes back and bills you an overmax fee of $1,100 because that shipment they're saying is either dimmed out or it's physically weighed more than 150 pounds. You want to be able to see that in your data and really identify what problems are happening that you can solve. Here's the link. I'm going to drop this into the chat window. I'm going to make this available for everybody. This is a Calendly link where you can schedule some time with one of our individuals that can walk you through the site. Scott, I've got one last question from you. You said, what if we use a partner's rate per master agreement and we cannot get our partner to provide us with the actual agreement? Can you get some results through invoices only? That's a really great question. I see a lot of shippers who use third-party fulfillment companies, and they're not using their own rates, they're using the third-party fulfillment rates. Those third-party fulfillment rates or another partner is going to be pretty apprehensive about showing this level of data to you, because more than likely they have a markup on it that they're passing over to you. I would encourage you to schedule a call with one of our account executives, and we can walk through what we typically do in those situations to get access to the right kinds of data. But that is a challenging situation, and feel free to chat with one of us after the call to walk through it. A lot of information we've covered here, and a lot of great questions. We've got 2 minutes remaining. I'm going to just hang out and look for the Q&A section here. If anybody has any additional questions, drop them in. If not, in that chat window, schedule a call with one of us. It's free and kind of a no pressure situation. We just want you to be able to understand what we're doing at Sifted and how we're utilizing this technology to really make you the best version of a shipper that you can be going into next year. Oh, and the last thing that I would say is on the GRI, I think it's really important that if you haven't gone through and looked at your GRI impact and had a study done there, Sifted is more than capable of doing that in a very quick manner. We're coming up really close to the end of the year. It's going to be critical to understand that 6.9% that FedEx and UPS have announced. Is that going to be accurate to you? In this example here, it's announced at 6.9, but the true effective generate increase for this data set is almost 9.5. So if you do not have this answered for your business going into next year, reach out to us and we can help you with it. One more from Nicholas. Sifted focuses on parcel data. Freight invoices are not covered. Sifted does not do a freight LTL audit. However, we bring in that level of data in LTL, no problem. So you can see when this dashboard loads, I've got multiple LTL carriers loaded in here, and I can see all of that information coupled with my parcel information, broken out by carrier, spend, month over month, year over year, and any additional handling, notification fees, any accessorial surcharge that the LTL carriers are charging. Hope that answers your question, Nicholas. All right, I love it. I think we've had some really great participation. Yeah. I'll hang out for a couple more minutes if you guys have some more Q&A, but encourage you to, we're just scratching the surface here. So encourage you to reach out to one of us and we can be happy and would love to walk through the tool a little bit more in detail for you.